Education in human rights is the fundamental tool for social progress and reform. We need educational systems that allow students to reach their maximum potential, not only in the area of specialization, but also as human beings that empower future generations. We need a system that encourages respect for human rights, a system that can ethically adapt to variations in our rapidly changing, dynamic world, a system that produces graduates who accept nothing less than changing the world. It gives me great pleasure to participate in another event organized by the Institute of Cultural Diplomacy and to share with you my thoughts on the need for propagating human rights education in our educational systems, both in the MENA region and across the globe. The MENA region, as indeed many other regions, have been witnessing major sectarian, religious, and ethnic challenges compounded lately by a much weakened culture of coexistence and dialogue. Given this state of affairs, it is imperative that we propose possible solutions which lie to a large extent in education, particularly human rights education. The past century could be characterized as the age of rights. Never before has there been such progress and interest in human rights standards. Human rights education was introduced in 1953 with the UNESCO Associated Schools program, which served as an initial attempt to teach human rights in formal school settings. The first formal request for the need to educate students about human rights came about in UNESCO's 1974 recommendation concerning education for international understanding, cooperation, and peace, as well as education relating to human rights and fundamental freedoms. Human rights education became an official international concern after the World Conference on Human Rights in 1993. This conference brought the idea of formally educating many countries about human rights to the attention of the United Nations. 2 years later, the United Nations approved the Decade for Human Rights Education, during which human rights were incorporated into formal school curricula and was diversified with the assistance of non-governmental organizations, intergovernmental organizations, and individuals dedicated to spreading the topic through formal education. The introduction of human rights education into school curricula can actively influence learners' convictions, establish a basis for coexistence, build an individual's ethical values and humane behavior, and facilitate social unity. It also helps prevent violations of human rights and constitutes an investment in building a fair society where all individuals are guaranteed appreciation and respect. Thus, school curricula play a pivotal role in forming the human dimensions of students and reducing the danger of rejecting the other. Through introducing human rights into our school systems, we would be rehumanizing our societies and empowering people to return to their core human values in every decision they take. Human rights education could also be taught at the university level through liberal arts courses, which represent the soul of democracy as they prepare students to nurture more than a passing familiarity with ethics, science, and culture, and to bridge the rift between the world as it is and the world as it ought to be. The world is struggling to come to grips with rapid changes in social, economic, and political traditions. Dramatic advances in technology pile on more unknowns, drenching us with waves of change, breaches of ethics, and violations of human rights. In response to these challenges, the humanities and the sciences may be put in the service of humanity to help students navigate an uncharted future and to contribute to the common good. The humanities and the sciences may incorporate various social topics from a humanitarian perspective, with the understanding that the desire to reduce suffering, save lives, and maintain human dignity is central to the understanding of human rights. Human rights education is based on the assumption that people have an innate need to help others, so it is centrally concerned with our shared humanity and incorporated in curricula subjects such as social, health, and citizenship education. Realizing the importance of citizenship education in Lebanon's social mosaic, as our friend Nondas mentioned, the Lebanese Ministry of Education and Higher Education during my term in office celebrated in March 2013 the launch of the National Charter on Religious Diversity and Inclusive Citizenship Education, which established a framework for approaching citizenship in its different dimensions. The goal of human rights education is to reinforce the communities and to increase their resilience, to enable them to support individuals and groups and allow them to become more confident. Human rights education also enables students to recognize that people can overcome adversity, develop their understanding of humanitarian issues, and acquire the skills that build resilience and encourage them to support each other. In addition to the above, human rights education enables young people to find appropriate and innovative solutions for challenges. It is an avenue to empower the youth to explore solutions for individual, local, national, regional, and global challenges. Human rights education also advocates for a higher quality of education by emphasizing individual life skills, humanitarian competencies, as well as personal and community resilience. It enables the youth to assess and interpret daily life events from a humanitarian perspective by applying fundamental principles, humanitarian laws, and values. Human rights education inspires to take humanitarian action through voluntary service to bring principles and values to life. As an example, in Lebanon, the Ministry of Education and Higher Education during my term in office approved a decree that required high school students to fulfill 60 hours of community service, aiding the poor, assisting the sick and elderly, as well as many other activities. That amounted to almost 1 million hours of community service per year. Such a move advocates for, contributes to, and ensures the humanitarian perspective in educational policies, strategies, and curricula. It is hoped that over the next decade, most of the youth will have access to human rights through formal educational systems. We teach our children that the world is a jungle, that life is the process of survival in this jungle, and that power is the essential tool to emerge victorious in this highly conflicting and violence-prone world. It is therefore not surprising that every new generation matures with much greater familiarity and comfort with the ways of conflict, competition, and violence than those of harmony, cooperation, and peace. As a citizen of the world, I have a dream that humanity will come to appreciate freedom of expression, return to our fundamental human values, and adopt human rights, thus propagating the culture of peace. Through human rights education, we can create a culture of peace which is achieved when the uniqueness and the diversity of humanity are safeguarded and celebrated. In fact, in my opinion, the future of humanity will be defined by how future generations will capitalize on aspects that will bring them together rather than differentiate them. Accordingly, societies that will be able to unify themselves around common values and contemplate together human problems in search for fair solutions will ultimately be more successful than those that will not. I would like to conclude by stating that change is a long-term process that starts with building the citizen, respect for others, belief in the principles of justice, equality and human respect, as well as adherence to coexistence are the cornerstones of this developmental process that requires constant partnership with the public sector and civil society. Education in human rights is the fundamental tool for social progress and reform. We need educational systems that allow students to reach their maximum potential, not only in the area of specialization, but also as human beings that empower future generations. We need a system that encourages respect for human rights, a system that can ethically adapt to variations in our rapidly changing, dynamic world, a system that produces graduates who accept nothing less than changing the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Diab. Now we understand better why Lebanese people are so capable when they have a Minister of Education like you and your other colleagues.
It was a freak mistake, actually.
And also, thank you for being very concise in your presentation. And now I expect also the questions and the comments will be as concise as Mr. Diab's presentation. This time we start with the gentleman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan, for an excellent presentation and the philosophy behind what you are.
Please press the button just once.
Thank you very much for your presentation with the excellent approach to trying to address the problems that we face in society today. But things have changed a lot. Whereas in the past, we would go by the percentage pass rate in an education system. Now we've got to think in terms of what percentage of the alumni are gainfully employed. Because if you provide training and qualifications, and if at the end of the day, those people remain unemployed and poor, all those resources are wasted. What you are suggesting is excellent. In addition to that, we need to train people to be gainfully employed. Thank you.
Okay, excellent question. Let me disprove what you just said. You know that I'm not disputing the fact that we need to graduate students that have deep understanding in their subject matter, in their expert subject matter, in their specialization. This is taken for granted. I'm saying what the surveys say. If you look at surveys with international companies, you look on the internet, you will find them. The question which was posed to them on what are the weaknesses, in what areas of weaknesses do you face with the fresh graduates that you take into the company? I'm talking big companies, you know, AT&T, Schlumberger, you know, huge IBM, and so on. And the answer is not the depth and know-how in the expert subject matter. That was not the answer. The answer was soft skills. And this is exactly why the most successful model in ensuring graduates, as you put it, find the best employment opportunities when they graduate, is to have the breadth, not just the depth. And that's the secret of the liberal arts higher education model that has been adopted by many US universities in the US and outside the US, AUB, for example. It's the success of graduates, again, I repeat, partly has to do with their deep knowledge in the subject matter, engineer, social scientist, humanitarian, whatever it is, yeah? But more importantly, the breadth that constitutes the general education component. The general education, just to give you an idea, at AUB, similar at US University, we're not reinventing the wheel. I mean, many universities do it in the States. We give 30 credits of general education in a 90-credit bachelor program. So BSc in computer science, 90 credits. I'm talking sophomore onwards. 30% of that is general education, nothing to do with computer science. And that's the secret of success, because in that general education component, we don't only graduate global citizens, we also citizens that are able to face the world, the market, the challenges. They have to know humanities, they have to know social sciences, they have to be good communicators. If you don't have good communication skills, if you're the best engineer, you'll get nowhere. You need languages. I mean, this is the problem we faced with Syrians, for example, Syrian refugees. Their education system is all in Arabic, up to the medicine, you know, up to the higher education. Everything is in Arabic. So it was extremely difficult for them to integrate into the Lebanese system because we teach sciences in foreign language from grade 1. So you need all of these components in order to have the necessary breadth. This breadth is what ensures your success in life, at the job, at the family. Whether you enter the public sector or the private sector, on the human level, dealing with your friends, your colleagues at work, and so on. And it's extremely important to integrate all of these issues. I mean, we're just talking about one dimension now, human rights education, because that's the topic of the conference. But the many other things that I refer to the breadth that students learn in this general education component? So my answer is yes and no to your question.
Thank you very much. I will take one more question because we are running out of time. It is already over.
What about the female
gender
component?
Equality. Lady.
We have to be fair.
Thank you very much. I'm Raya Barasanji from the U.S. Institute of Peace, based in Washington, D.C. I'm very, very thrilled to hear about the civic education programs that are being installed within the general education programs in Lebanon. And I'm very, very curious to know about the process, about how you came about in putting together the curriculum, as well as whether you got some consultations from civil society organizations, NGOs, or that was pretty much sort of the product of people who are specialized in academia that was put together, and about the process of implementing the decree that you had mentioned regarding the community service. Is that in conjunction with civil society organization, by coordination? And how is that process going on? I'm curious to learn about that. Thank you.
Well, in reverse order, yes, it is in cooperation with the civil society. You're Lebanese?
I'm Iraqi.
Yeah. So even as Iraqi, we have similar problems. You will realize how difficult it is for a technocrat minister to work with a political cabinet, you know. But being the resilient person I am, I didn't listen to anybody. So yes, there are many things that a minister can do in changing many things. Yes, the civic education is one entry point to reach out to students on many dimensions, human rights education being one of them. But I have to say that you know, when you teach them these qualities, these concepts, it doesn't have to be only in civic education. It can be also as case studies and examples in many other subjects, even in history, in geography, in Arabic, and so careful choice of you know, the examples and the case studies in all the subjects could serve multi-purposes in order to ensure that you drive these concepts and that it is instilled in our students, in our youth. So, of course, in Lebanon, there's a decree that says you have to review the K-12 curricula every 4 years, which didn't happen when I came into the ministry in 2011. We hadn't touched the curricula for 18 years, I think. But that's Lebanon. I mean, we have laws, excellent laws, but implementation is another story. So we did change the curricula from bottom up for 9 years. Now it's a standstill again. Maybe it'll take another 18 years to do the rest. But yes, I think our education system, if we ensure that it is not politicized, which is very difficult to do in Lebanon, that we can do great things in our education system. I mean, imagine the unified history book. Can you believe Lebanon is, I mean, several thousand years old, but democracy is, what is it, 70 years old, 73 years old now. And we don't have a unified history book. And I presented a solution which was approved by most political parties. I mean, even as a technocrat, you have to play politics to get it through the cabinet and through the parliament. But it was tabled because there was one political party that didn't agree with one dimension of it. So it's a shame that politics play a role in these matters, especially in education. And that is probably why we have so many missed opportunities in Lebanon and indeed in the Arab world, maybe in the region beyond the Arab world as well. So it can be done, but we need the political will to do it. And it's not always there. The tendency is to do what's best for the political party, the sect, a certain region of Lebanon, but not for the entire Lebanese population. Having said that, Lebanon is unique. As Nandas mentioned, we're probably the only country that has 18 different formal approved religious denominations that are one way or the other living together. And yes, it's not easy with the political tsunamis in the region around us, but we're still one. So hopefully we'll be able to overcome this.
Thank you very much.